It's an oil filter. The last clips were at LMS. It's been many hours. It's 12:12. I need to do an oil change on both of my cars, and I did not have an oil filter for the 330. I thought I didn't find it anywhere. So, got one from LMS today. You'll notice the part number here ends in 300. This has always been true for the M54 3-liter oil filters. So it ends in 300. We open it up. Obviously, this one's a genuine BMW. And there's the part number, and it ends in 301. Why is there a discrepancy there? If you search for the 301, you won't find anything. You gotta search for the 300. So I'm thinking that the oil filter's just been incorrectly printed for well over a decade now. So I'm ready to do the oil change on the M5. I have a filter downstairs. I have 8 liters of Castrol 1060. I only have about 4.5 liters of the Castrol GTX 530 that I use in the 330, so I'll have to buy another jug of it before I can do that. But that all needs to get done ASAP. I was thinking this morning, kind of getting stressed out, we're definitely in crunch time. The Timmy Fest weekend is coming, and that's always been it's next weekend, not this upcoming, but the following. Pretty much June 8th is my deadline. And I've always treated that as let's get all the stupid chores done by then so we can play and have fun and kick off summer and then just do general maintenance on stuff. And I'm really far from that right now. And part of it is due to the fact that we still had snow through late April, and spring really didn't start till early to mid-May. But there's a million other factors that are contributing to my delay. Nonetheless, I was productive today. Got a lawn done this morning, started super early by my standards, had one done by noon. Took the car to LMS. I was there for about 2 hours. I took a chance on the rain. I haven't done the detail yet, so I thought if it rains, we get wet, nobody dies. So I went. I got there right as Bill got back from lunch break, which was great. Brought the car inside, put it in the air, turned some fans on the exhaust for about 10 or 15 minutes to let that cool down so we could touch it. He installed the bushings. We adjusted the tips. Originally, I wanted both of them moved in about 1/8 to 1/4 inch. That's not possible the way it's done right now. The mufflers have these little brackets, these little 90-degree brackets that come out the side of them, and then there's a hypotenuse in there. Picture a hypotenuse running from the bottom left to the top right over here, and that's kind of too short on one of them. They're probably hand welded on a jig or something, and they're not perfect. So we couldn't move them both in, so we had to bring the other one out to match the right one. And then the adjustment vertically, the left ones were too low. They got it up a little bit, but the left ones are still lower by about 1/4 inch. And that just seems to be the way it is. I remember looking at Luke and Kennan's cars. They've got untouched stock exhaust, and some of the tips are lower and some stick out further. They aren't perfect. You'd really have to get down and measure stuff though to figure it out. So I'm content with that. The bushings are in. He diagnosed my little click coming off the first car. Well, I kind of diagnosed it as something with the parking brake cables. They were kind of too tight, so we loosened them up a little bit. Before, 2 clicks was as far as I could get it. That would hold the car. Now I can get it about 4 clicks, 5 if I pull hard. So that's right within spec. Actually, spec is 7 clicks. So we're still tighter than usual, and that seems to have alleviated the click. So success, success. Now, the exhaust bushings. Holy crap, does that make a difference. I couldn't believe it when I started the car and just drove it around the parking lot there to diagnose the click again. It alleviated all of the vibrations that I had. This was very minor, but when you started the car, you had kind of a rumble, like an American V8 that's nowhere near as refined. And I didn't like that rumble because this car has always been extremely refined. So the bushings got rid of all of the interior vibrations. It also completely got rid of any sort of drone. Before, if you had it in 4th gear at 2,000 RPM and 40 miles an hour, sustaining speed on an incline, you would hear an exhaust note, which I didn't really want to hear, especially with the windows up. You didn't hear it with the windows down because you heard the wind noise. So it's a lot quieter now under startup, idle, sustaining speed, and low throttle input acceleration, say 1/3 throttle or less. It's the same as before. If you give it half throttle or 1/3 or more, and you're next to cars and in a tunnel or something like that in between buildings, it's just as loud as before. So really, I am very, very satisfied with the way it is right now. Actually, I'm really happy with it. Because that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't want it to be loud and boomy and dromy or any of that, just very easily cruising. I still want it to be a quiet luxury car, But then when I am having a little bit of fun with the windows down, I want to hear more. So that's exactly what the bushings did. I can't believe they made that big of a difference, but it's perfect now. So super happy with that. They do stick out a little further. Here's my test for comparing how far they stick out. So I'll stand here and then move the inner exhaust tips right to the lip of the bumper, which is hard to see on camera in this light. And my right ones are out maybe a millimeter. And you know, it's not perfect. I'm standing in front of the car and that's pretty perfect. So donezo, happy, got my filter for the 330, aligned, quiet, no more click, all good. Got my invoice, paid for, done. So I've got to do an oil change on the M5, got to do an oil change on the 330. Still have to clean out the garage. I did make a lot of progress on the windows downstairs. I have to take the window panes out. These white things are just plastic. If you grab it and pull, they come out. But obviously the garage is worse. They get really dusty and there's bugs and shit on them, so that all has to get cleaned. And then when you take them out, you can see exactly where the panes were. So I cleaned the glass, cleaned the light fixtures downstairs, all the stupid shit that just like sucks and I wish somebody else would do it, but I see it and it bothers me when it's dirty. So I've been working on that for several hours today. Rozkin and Sabrina came over tonight for a little bit. We hung out downstairs, watched NBA Finals Game 1. Cleveland looked a lot more competitive than we thought. This series, I mean, the Cavs really shouldn't even be there, debatably, but LeBron's great enough to put you there. I mean, the Warriors, they're a totally stacked team. They've got 4 All-Stars. It's the best team the NBA's ever seen, and beating them is a ridiculous feat. So it was very close. There were some bad calls. There were some bad plays on Cavs' parts. There were some missed free throws. So it was a loss in overtime, but holy crap, was it closer than we thought. So maybe it'll be a better series than we originally anticipated. But 12:20, I'm going to wrap things up here and get to bed. Tomorrow's supposed to rain the majority of the day, so it'll probably be an inside day. I'll resume cleaning and all of this crap that's really boring that still has to get done. Furniture and stuff like that. If I am able to drive the car at all, I will. Then I'll bring it back warm and do a nice oil change when it's nice and warm, which I like to do because then anything that's in the oil, suspended in the oil, and the viscosity changes, so it comes out a lot easier and quicker while it's warm. So we'll still be productive, we'll get stuff done, might not get all of it. I got one more yard, whatever, I'm rambling. All right, we'll talk tomorrow, Friday. Good night.